All right, welcome to another episode of Stateside Reds. It's me and Mr. Green here today. We're going to go over transfer reviews for Manchester United, and if we have some time, we'll dive into a little bit of other teams' transfers. Well, we'll start off with Diego Leon. What have you thought about him so far, Mr. Green?
I've seen just some glimpses. Haven't seen too much of him, unfortunately. From the little bits that I have seen, he's got some pace. He's got that edge. He doesn't mind getting into the mix. Carries the ball very well. Passes very well. I think we have a player there. I would just like to see more of him. Yeah. Very disappointed in the Grimsby game when we saw Fredrickson in the mix and not Leon. My fear is we're going to sit this young man on the bench. He's not going to get any playing time. You need those game minutes to be able to gel with your teammates. And I think he needs to be given more of an opportunity. What are your thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, it's the same. I think that we could have definitely play him a little bit, especially Grimsby. I think he could have been decent against Grimsby with his speed and physicality, especially for his young age. But he's definitely one for the future. Even Dorgu didn't play that game at the start, did he? So for me, looks bright what I saw of him in preseason. Hopefully he gets some game time this year. I think maybe in the early rounds of the FA Cup we might see him. But other than that, I don't think we're going to see much of him this year. We might even send him down, play with the under-21s, get used to the English league a little bit. I'm very shocked that we actually didn't send him out alone. Yes. I think a half season or a season in the Championship could have been great quality for him. But with Man United's injury history, we would have had to pull it back at some point anyway. So we'll move on to Cunha. Cunha, for me, so far, has been the most exciting. I think he's brought that flair, that edge. I saw him against Arsenal when I can't remember who was on the floor. Ben White was on the floor and he was over there arguing, get up, get up. I think we've missed that for Manchester United. So for me, that's definitely been great to see. Shame he's been injured, but I think if we don't have him for the City Liverpool game, we might miss him. I think we're going to miss him. So, and then especially with Mount being out. So, what are your thoughts, Cunha, so far?
I've been super impressed with his play. He's another one that plays with edge, like you say. He's over there telling Ben White to get up. That turn that he made, I think it was a ball from about 30 yards away. Took it on the volley, flicked it over his left shoulder, turned on his right, spun the Arsenal player, made him look foolish. His creativity, his willingness to take players on, to run at defenders. I think he's been fantastic for us, to be honest. I think probably our best signing in a long time. Mbumo, who we'll talk about, is a close second. I really like him as well, but I'm excited for Cunha. Very disappointed with the early injury. Anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks out, and I agree with you. We don't have him for Liverpool and Man City. We lose a huge attacking threat there.
Yeah. Real quick, it's not Liverpool and City. It's City and who is it? Who we got? We got City next, and then I can't remember who we got after that. It's not Liverpool. Chelsea. That's it. It's Chelsea. It's City. Our next two games are City and Chelsea. So. We all know Garnacho is going to score in that one, but we'll talk about him in a little bit. It's disappointing that he went out. To me, it didn't look as bad as a hamstring. I think it might have been more of a strain than a complete pull, which is hopefully with this break here for the week. I think he may miss the City game, but I think he may be all right for the Chelsea game. We're still waiting for news. Classic Manchester United, right? We're still waiting for news on an injury, which usually indicates it's a little more serious than what it is. But hopefully it's not. I'm worried that he, bringing him back too quickly. So, for me, absolutely fantastic. He's turning his speed. His hold-up play has been fantastic. We'll move on to, I'm hearing a little bit of back noise there. I don't know if it's me or you. Can you hear me, Mr. Green? Your headset's gone. Your headset's gone. Yeah, I can't hear you. Yep. Take your headset off. I would unplug it. It's gone. I'll call up some of the chat here. Ronaldo, evening lad, 6 out of 10 window only because the midfield was not addressed this window. Bit of a guess, maybe a January surprise. Hellbound, hello everyone, nice to see you guys on. Great. Yeah, can't hear you. No. Yeah, you work on that for a minute, Mr. Green, and then just keep saying hello until I can hear you, and then I'll put my thumbs up. I'll move on to Mbumo. Mbumo for me has been the signing of the summer so far. I'm not going to say that he's going to be at the end of the year, but 2 in the last 2 games, absolutely fantastic for me. His hold-up play and just his passing ability. When was the last time you saw a Man United player who a ball was crossed in, he manages it to control it with the outside of his foot, puts it on the inside of his foot, sends the other player the completely wrong way. Now, the ball doesn't go in. You hear me, Mr. Green?
I can hear you now, yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now. So I was just saying about that, that cross to him in the box in the first highlight of the game, where he controlled the ball. The ball came, it was a long ball to him, and he controlled it with the outside of his foot, pushed it back inwards. The player continued to run this way, and he managed to get a shot off. It was easily saved, but he's going to have a lot more of those this year that go in more than not. And just Mbumo's ability to control the ball, move it around, that pass to Ahmed, who should have put it in the back of the net from where he was at, it goes to show why we are in the top 3 of shots in the box, shots on goal, being in the area. It goes to show why we have those numbers, because of Cunha and because of Mbumo. I'm excited to see those 2 this year. Sesko, when he gets firing too, I think it's going to be a lethal front 3. What's your thoughts on Mbumo?
I, again, really like Mbumo. When we signed him, I went back and watched a bunch of his highlights from last season. His ability to run at defenders and turn them, like you say, his ball control is sublime. The way he creates his own chances as well as creating chances for others. I love the way he comes down the right, cuts in with his left foot, his favorite foot, and just curls that ball around defenders and the goalkeeper and scores far post more often than not. And his passion. You could see that when he scored that goal,
yeah,
it was a fist pumping. It was, yeah. And that's what I want to see is, people, they talked about the over celebrating of Burnley. I talked about this on the last show we were on deadline day. For me, it wasn't over celebrating. For me, that was a whole bunch of weight off people's shoulders. In Mbumo's first goal, Bruno making that penalty shot, after missing that one, that was a huge weight off and a win. At that point in time, they got the 3 points. And I like to see that. Good teams win ugly games.
Yes.
Right? And I take myself back to when I was younger. And, a lot of people love Manchester United, but a lot of people hated Manchester United.
Yeah.
I liken them to Ronda Rousey or Conor McGregor. You either love them or hate them, but everybody watched them. Some to watch them win, but a majority to watch them lose. And a lot of my friends, right, would watch with me because they wanted Manchester United to lose.
Yeah.
I remember being 1 down, 2-1 down, and they're, giving me the gears and, I just wait, more often than not, United will pull it out in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And those are the games that they shouldn't have won, but they did, and it led to titles. So I like the win against Burnley. Was it rough and not very flowing and ugly? Yes, it was. But, in order to finish the top, you need to win those games.
Yeah, for me, like I said with the Burnley game, I think we dominated them in the first half. Like a lot of people were like, oh, you were lucky to win. No, we were lucky not to be 6-7-0 up in that first half. And I think Mount going out was a big part of the fact of why we struggled in the second half. With those, get back to Cunha and Mbeumo though. I was watching some games from last year, and I was watching, and we'll talk about him in a minute. But Rasmus Højlund is gone, and last year he didn't get the service that he was needed. And you've seen the amount of balls that are going into the box now. You see the balls that are going through that Rasmus Højlund could have potentially jumped onto this year. It's kind of, especially with Garnacho. He clearly had a problem with Garnacho last year. Garnacho and Rasmus clearly had a problem. They weren't past each other. But this year it's just night and day compared to a child who thinks he's Ronaldo with an altitude problem, who would just shoot from all angles, to Mbeumo and Cunha, who are more likely to pass the ball for these teammates to get a goal compared to last year. You know what I mean? How are you feeling on that so far? And I know we're only 3 games in. I know the game against, I'm wiping the Grimsby game out of my mind because it's the worst game I've seen Man United play in a long, long time. But they bounced back very well, especially in the first half this week against Burnley.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see, can they bounce back? I wanted to see Manchester United, how these new players could be once they conceded a goal. And they surprised me. If that was last year, and we were 1-0 up or 2-1 up, and we wouldn't have scored that penalty. We wouldn't have gone ahead and won the game. And that, like you're talking about, like the differences between good teams find a way to win. Last year we weren't a good team, and last year we wouldn't have found a way to win that game. Now I think it's a lot down to Cunha and Mbeumo, Sesko being on, which we'll talk about next. That front three. It's for me it's taken time to gel, but you can see it slowly coming, and that's why it's such a disappointment for me that Cunha is out, because now it's going to take a little bit more time to gel.
I agree. We're at that. When did training start? First week of August.
Yeah.
So we're hitting that 6 to 7 to 8 weeks of repetitions and training and getting to know one another, and then the 5, 6, 7, 8 game mark where everything really starts to mesh. And I think you hit the nail right on the head when we got rid of Garnacho, because we got rid of the selfishness. He would shoot when he shouldn't have. He barely passed the ball. And I know a lot of people see a player. I don't see it. You have to be mature enough to be able to accept criticism. And I don't think he was there. I think a lot of people probably had a bit of problems with him at the club. And to be honest, being Rasmus's biggest critic, I this year when they signed Sesko, he behaved impeccably, like a professional, like we talked about. But that goal he scored in preseason, that was beautiful. That cross in, and that header. So unfortunately, I think he's a victim of circumstance. I think he would have done better this year.
I do too.
Unselfish players playing in the number 10. I think you're right. He would have got probably 80% more balls into the box for him to tap in, head in, control, right, shoot. So a case of what would have been. Maybe we should have kept him. Maybe we shouldn't have benched him those first 2 games. Let's give him the opportunity. I don't know what happened, and we're not in the dressing room. But I think he should have been given, if you're not starting Sesko, why wouldn't you brought him along, right? What's the worst that could happen? He pots 4 goals in, you find yourself, hey, okay, we got a striker again, the striker that we bought for 72 million, or you increase his value and Napoli jumps on it and says, yeah, we'll give you 50 million pounds right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you go back to Ruben Amorim's press conference after the Burnley game, he said that he felt like Cunha's injury was due to the fact that he had played in midweek. Well, if Rasmus was there, you wouldn't need to be starting Cunha up front. So that to me says, like, hey, There's kind of a little poor management there because of you're lacking up front in that aspect.
Yeah.
But on the other side of things, I also like what Ineos are saying. You've got 2 years to prove yourself at Man United. If you don't, you're out. And to be fair, he didn't prove himself in those 2 years. The first season, he scored 16 goals in all competitions. Last year, he scored 3, I believe, in the Premier League. Or that's atrocious for a striker in the Premier League.
I think it's 6 in all competitions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 26 goals and 96 appearances for United. That's not good enough for a striker.
Yeah. So, right. Yeah, I just think that's pretty poor. Casey, you're saying, where's the link? Do you want to jump on the show, or where's the link? What do you mean? Where's the link? Let me know if are you wanting to jump on the show. I'll send the link to you. I'm still getting used to using this StreamYards. I'm so used to using the other way that we used to do it, but we can't do that right now. So yeah, let me know what you link. We'll move on to Sesko. Sesko for me, I'm flabbergasted that he hasn't started again. He hasn't started a Premier League game. How is this guy who cost 80-something million not started a Premier League game? And I hate the idea of, if he was a defender or he was a wing back or if he was in a 6 or an 8, I could understand because it's a system, right? He's a striker. There's no excuse. He's an out-and-out striker. He drops back, collects the ball, and lays it off to a 10. He did that at Leipzig. That's what we're used to doing, playing with. That's what Amram's used to playing with, So I just can't, for the life of me, figure out why he hasn't started a Premier League game. You can't say he's not fit because he had a preseason over in Leipzig. So I just don't understand why he's not starting the game. Is it to do with the fact that he didn't want him? I don't know. I just can't figure it out. Can you understand why he hasn't started a Premier League game yet?
So I'm with you. And this is what I had said last show, is I'm not hammering him out. We need some stability. And I question some of the things that he's said. Absolutely. I agree with Mikey 100%. But I am seriously questioning this whole Sesko thing. We brought Dorgo in last year in the mid window, and he started right away.
Yep.
Right away, no questions asked. This one, you said it best. He's your striker. His job is to score goals. And for the life of me, and I've said it in the chat, I've said it I don't know why he isn't starting. If you only get 60, 65 minutes out of him, great.
Yeah.
But he's had a preseason. He's been training. And he's not starting. And I am confused. And this is one of my biggest things right now with Amorim. Like, I don't know if it's his stubbornness. Like, I don't know if wasn't his target. So he's showing the board. I'm the boss here and I'll set my lineup, or like, I don't get what he's doing. You don't buy a Porsche to drive a Ford Taurus.
Yeah.
And these guys, he needs the time. He needs the time with Cunha. He needs the time with Mbumo. He needs the time with Bruno. He needs the time with all of these people. And you're not doing them any good by sitting him on the bench, asking him to come in the second half or the last 20 minutes. As a striker, you need to start get it. And that comes from minute 1 of the game, right? You need to get a feel for things. You need to get a feel for your opponent. You need to see who's on the weaker side of the defense. You need to see who to key on. You need to see how your teammates are playing, how they're looking for you, what, the balls they're making. You get into a game as a striker as the game goes on. So this, I don't know what Amorim is doing with Sesko, and I'm really disappointed. They went out and got you a top striker in Europe, and this is how you're treating them. Not a good start.
The only thing I can compare it to is, the first two games on tour in America, he didn't start Mbumo. The only game Mbumo started was the game that we were at, which was the last game. So I'm wondering if it's that he was just trying to get him through to the international break so we could have a week of training. But then again, he's away with his team, so it's like you're not training with the team. So and for me, a lot of foreigners manage, and from being from England, and I know a lot of people that watch this in England are going to understand this. And I'm not saying Americans and Canadians don't, but going to a League Four side of Grimsby was the last game you should have started him in.
Yep.
It's the last game because as I know they're League Four, and I know we should have beat them quite comfortably. But with the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, when you play those teams, like Liverpool lost to Grimsby in 2001. A lot of people forget this. They lost to Grimsby. And when you play those lower league teams, there's always that slight chance that the big team's going to lose. And it happens more often than not when it comes to those things, especially in the FA Cup. So I think starting him against Grimsby was a huge mistake. I think starting him against Burnley would have been a lot better for him because it's a lot faster pace. The grass is better. You're not at the seaside. You're not getting torrential downpours. And a lot of people were criticizing him for his bad touch. Has anyone ever played in that weather? Because I have. Like trying to kick a ball in that weather is far impossible, especially getting a good touch. You tap it and it just goes. It stopped.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too mad at him when he took that touch in the box and it just didn't go anywhere. You know.
And it happened.
Yeah.
It happened. And that was the wrong. Hold on a sec.
But yeah. Casey saying, I'm wondering if Cisco is an Ineos buy versus an Amarin buy. That's what we were just discussing. Like, is he an Ineos buy rather than an Amarin buy? And Casey's saying the same thing, Mr. Green. Like, is he an Ineos buy rather than an Amarin buy? I don't think it is. I do think Amarin wants him there, but I'm just sick and tired of this narrative that a player comes to Man United and it needs 4 games to get in the starting line. Victor Gyökeres is starting for Arsenal, and you can clearly see he's too overweight. You can clearly see that he's unfit.
Yep.
But how would you get a player fit? He starts a game, like you said, you play for 65 minutes, not for 25 minutes in a game. And how we like, and then not only that, you're putting the media on him. Oh, he hasn't scored for Man United in 4 games. Well, if you take account, he's only played 90 minutes. So, of course, but the media don't want to have that narrative. You know, the media is against Manchester United. They want to say, oh, we brought a striker. He hasn't scored. So, for me, I think he's going to come good. I think the second half, I think the first header was too high for him. He should have scored with the second header for me. But it's his first head. He's testing out the goalkeeper. So, I really do think Cisco will come good. Ronaldo saying, yeah, Ruben got outvoted on Cisco. Ruben wanted a Premier League proven targets. He was high on Watkins. So Jim didn't want to pay 60 million for a 30-year-old. And I get that because Ineos do have this narrative, and that's probably why they didn't go with Emi Martinez, and they went for Sene Lemons, or however he pronounces it. I know they came out today and said it, so I probably said it wrong. Lumens, that's probably why they didn't go for him, because he's over that 27 mark. Yeah. And United don't want to supply players who have no sell-on value anymore. And I like that. I do like that. I think we'll talk about Le Mans next, but I don't think he's going to start. I think Brian Deere will start the next couple of games until he makes a mistake. And then I think Le Mans is going to come in. But I want to touch on him in a minute. So what's your thoughts on Cisco? You think he's going to be a good striker?
I do. I think between him and I was high on Gyökeres, but I think we've got the more skilled footballer.
The footballer, I get that, yeah.
And he played in a tougher league. Mm-hmm. You know, he didn't play the Paços de Ferreira, the Gil Vicente, the Aruca. There's a real drop off after the top 5 in the Portuguese league. Yeah, he did it in the Champions League. That's fair. But I think Cisco played in a tougher league. You know, the parity between the teams are a lot closer. You know, in the Bundesliga, yeah, the top 2 teams run away with it. But after that, there's some parity there. And I think, you know, Amarim, he likes to think of himself as a thinker, a philosopher, but I like what Arsenal did with Gyökeres. That kid won that penalty in the game, and I forget who it was against.
The 15-year-old, yeah.
The 15-year-old
Yeah.
But they gave the PK to Gyökeres.
Yeah.
And that's what I would have done with Sesko.
Yeah.
Right? I said it in the chat. You want your shark to taste blood. So give him that goal.
Yeah.
Give him the penalty shot. Let him score. Let him get the weight off his back. Right? And then all of a sudden the media, maybe they lay off on him. But I don't think we're doing Sesko any service by how we're treating him right now.
No. I want to see him. I want to see him start versus who's our next game? City. I want to see him start versus City. City's backline is not great. Cunha obviously is injured. I know we're talking about transfers here. I'm going to put this in there. I'm pissed at Amarim for Mount. From what I'm hearing, Mount started the game injured.
Yeah.
Why did you play him? Why? It's just move Bruno up. You know, he's clearly lost faith in Ugarte, which says to me, like, you got. But then again, you move Bruno up and you put Manu on.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, why you started Mount in that game is infuriating to me. Because you need to look after him. You know, he hasn't been injured since March, and now he's picked up another injury. I'm just hoping he's not out for a long time because he was really starting to show me glimpses of Chelsea.
Yep.
Let's move on to our new goalkeeper. Have you done any research? Have you watched any videos? I know there is a lot of videos out there right now, and I don't know if you've seen them, calling him the White Onana. And there is a lot of videos out there of him missing crosses.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people are not taking into account, that was pretty early on in his career. Last year was only his first full year at Antwerp.
Yeah.
So he's a young keeper, 22. Kind of like when we got David De Gea. David De Gea made a bunch of mistakes at Manchester United when he first started. He even got subbed off in one of the games. And then, you know, Sir Alex backed him, put him back in, and gave him that confidence. What's your thoughts on him?
I worry about it. I hope he has thick skin.
Mm-hmm.
Goalkeepers and fragility, not a good combination.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally weak, and he does make a mistake. I think you said it best in the chat. You know, all hell is going to break loose.
Mm-hmm.
He starts making blunders after blunder after blunder. It's going to be a long ride. I have watched a lot of highlights. And then interesting, I was watching one of the other pundits, and he actually paid somebody to watch Lumen's last 25 games.
Mm-hmm.
And his appraisal analysis is he's an average goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He's nothing special. I'm willing, you know, from what I've seen, he's got great reflexes.
Mm-hmm.
He gets up and down well for a big man. He's made some great saves, and he's a good, you know, not that it's a selling feature for a goalie, but he stops penalty shots. I believe he stopped 5 last year.
Yeah, 5 of 9, I believe it was. That he said
5 of 9, so a 55% ratio. That's pretty good for a shot stopper on PKs.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I'm an expert. From what I've seen, I'm impressed. Absolutely. Toughest position in all of football. The goalkeeper. You're either a hero or you're a zero within, you know, we've seen Onana do it, you know, in one game.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to give him a shot because what we have in between the sticks right now, you know, those aren't top 7 Premier League team goalkeepers.
No, the Grimsby goalkeeper was better than Onana. Onana, and we'll talk about Anthony in a little bit. But Onana and Anthony, for me, are 2 of the worst signings Man United have ever done, and that includes Bebe. Bebe was atrocious for Man United. What I've seen of him, and Casey's saying, why are they calling him the White Onana? Go online and you'll understand. But what we've got is potential.
Yeah.
You know, Rio had a conversation with Courtois, and Courtois called him a very good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You know, and he's billed as the next Courtois, obviously, because he's from Belgium. So that's why that comparison is there. Is he going to make mistakes? Yes. Has he got the thick skin to deal with this crowd? I don't know. I'm glad we brought him, but I would have gone out and got him and Martinez. I would have just said to Anana, hey, like, sorry, go find somewhere in January, do what you got to do, but you're done at Man United. I know Martinez has those mistakes in him too, but he's got the personality. He's got the skin to deal with being a Man United goalkeeper. When he's standing there with that glove when Argentina won, like he has that ability to deal with that.
Yeah.
And being I'll get on this with Sancho. Sancho pissed me off because from what I heard was Man United were talking with Villa about a straight swap pretty much for Sancho and Martinez was waiting by the phone, didn't come, but that kind of pissed me off too from Sancho because like apparently he just doesn't want to sign a full-time contract. And if I'm sitting there at Sancho, I'm really like, you're telling me a top 7 Premier League club just wants to sign me and I don't want to sign a long-term contract? I'm like, what's wrong with you?
There's something seriously wrong with Sancho. We can get in on him later.
Yeah, we'll get into it later. Something seriously wrong with him. But yeah, for me, I would have gone out and got both.
So can I ask you,
yeah.
the numbers being floated around for Costa from Porto, they're in line with,
With who, Costa? Of all the goalkeepers that were available, Le Mans, Martinez, I would have gone for Costa. I would have gone for Costa. For 25 million, I would have. It's pretty much what we paid for Le Mans.
Yeah.
But, Le Mans, Barcelona looked at him when he was a kid. He turned Barcelona down. I don't know if anyone knows this. He turned Barcelona down when he was younger because he wanted first team football. And then I know that Chelsea, I know that a couple of other teams, big teams, Man City, were looking at him this summer as well as a backup goalkeeper, not for their number one, as a backup goalkeeper, which also goes to show that if they're looking at him, there's got to be something there. And I don't want him to just go win the first game. I don't want him to start versus Chelsea because if he makes a mistake, all hell's going to break loose. So for me, right now, Binder is the number one goalkeeper. I think if he can stop some of the silly mistakes, I'm not too mad about him about this weekend. I know he should have done better, but it wasn't a mistake for me. The ball was kicked at him pretty closely, and he parried it away into kind of an Anana. But I'm not too mad about that. But his distribution of the ball is much better than Anana's. And I think the defense feels a lot more comfortable with Binder being back there. And I think Amrim's a lot more comfortable with Binder being back there. I would give Binder a run of games. God hope that he doesn't make too many mistakes that Le Mans has to come in. That is just, we just hope that it doesn't happen, that he doesn't have to come in too quickly. I would like to hit him and, Binder fight for that top spot at Man United, the number one. Just a couple of the calls. Casey honestly don't like bringing in a young goalie under these circumstances. We have a depleted midfield and a team that's trying to find themselves. It's going to put a lot of pressure on him. Yes, and that's why he shouldn't start as the goalkeeper. Calling Emmy the white Onana is wild and based on fraud and hatred. We're not calling Emmy the white Onana. They were calling Le Mans the white Onana. And because if you go and watch his highlights, some of his highlights, he's very indecisive when he comes out for the ball, which is a concern for Man United, especially with how the Premier League is now when it comes to those long throws and it comes for those in-swinging corners. So, and especially crosses too. He can be a little indecisive. Now, he's 22. He's going to work on that. If he works out, he's got another decade as being the Man United goalkeeper. Decade and a half. Goalkeepers can go to 35. We shouldn't be thrusting this guy right in and saying, hey, you're our number one goalkeeper right away. I think Binder is doing a half decent job. I don't think he's doing by far a good job, but half decent. Better than Onana. And Tom Heaton is just Tom Heaton. I don't think would I give him a shot? Yes. But is he going to be a long-term goalkeeper? No. And I think the more you give Binder more games, I think he'll start getting more comfortable. I still think there's a half decent player in Binder until Le Mans is ready. So that's just where I am. Those highlights work weird because I've seen some great Le Mans footage. along with his errors, and some weren't even errors. They threw defender deflections in there. I saw the same ones. I think it was just the ones where he was coming out for the ball was more concerning for me because he was a little indecisive. And I'm not the only one that says he's indecisive earlier. I've seen the Stretford Paddock say the same thing. I've seen a lot of the channels out there, Flex being one of them, saying that he can be a little indecisive, and that's okay. He's 22, right? He's gonna work on that.
That can be coached.
Yeah, we've got a $50 million goalkeeper who comes out and punches players in the face with his eyes closed rather than punching a ball in Onana. So I'm more than happy for him to just learn, and make his trade at Manchester United. David De Gea, oh my God, some of the mistakes he made when he first came into Man United were atrocious. So that's just where we are. We've got to be patient with him, and I hope the fan base will be. But this is Man United, and we all know that they ain't gonna be. So that's our signings for the summer. Let's give it a rating. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I think we could have really gone for a 9 if we've gone and got a striker, a midfielder, should I say. But I watched the Brighton game. Baleba got pulled, and Brighton played better. I was all in for Baleba, and then I watched that game against City, and I know it was only one game, but I'm kind of glad that because we didn't get Baleba and we didn't rush out and go get a transfer deadline day makeshift midfielder and spent money on him. I know we were looking at Conor Gallagher, who used to play for Chelsea, plays for Atletico Madrid. He would have been a loan. I would have been more than happy with that. He's a decent player. He isn't Adam Wharton, but he would have done a better job in there than Ugarte for me. But overall, I'm glad we didn't rush out and go get a cheap replacement and gone and got one of those. I'm happy with where we're at. Save the money. Go out next year, go buy Adam Wharton or Baleba, whoever you want to go, and then kick on from next year.
I gave it a 6.5 on the deadline show, only because we did not get that central midfielder that we so desperately need. Totally impressed with Sesko, Cunha, Mbumo, Lumens, and you can count Leon in there as well. And
I count him in there. I know he came in January, but he didn't. Yeah. He went back on loan. So
yeah, I'm impressed with what Ineos is doing. I get, I was listening to one of the other pundits, and he was harping on Manchester United because we're not out there signing the 15 million euro defenders from, Lille or whomever, which these other teams, but we are. Yeah. We signed Leon. We signed Dorgu. We signed Lumens. We signed that the best 16-year-old center back in England. We are. Pardon me?
Are you referring to Aiden Hedden?
No, there's another one they purchased this summer.
Oh, okay.
15, 16 years old, and that for his age, he's apparently the best central back, U16 center back in all of England. To me, that is good business because it's succession planning. As these players phase out, then you've got another one, and that's what United used to do, right? Yeah. They'd always call up a kid from the academy; he'd slip right in there. Or their scouting network was incredible, where they found the Dwight Yorks, the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, all these guys, right? That other people just overlooked. So we are doing it, but I would have liked to have seen them either get a loan to plug up that set, because we do need to win now. Mm-hmm. Like Amorim says, it's a project, but we need to win games. And we need to win games. And I think the board kind of shorted him this transfer window. There were some options out there in the 25-30 million euro region that we probably should have brought in. And yeah, I hate to use the word stopgap, but there's something that we could have done there, I believe, and we should have done.
I'm more like, I really like Wharton. I want Man United to go for Wharton next summer. That all depends on where we finish this summer. We have to get in a European place this summer for Wharton to come to Man United. But he's going to cost 100 million. Yeah, Baleba is going to cost, depending on how he does this season, is going to cost. If he does well, it's going to cost 100 million. United have got other areas to fix next season. Casemiro's going, so we're going to need another midfielder. Some other players are going to go next summer. I believe Luke Shaw probably might go next summer.
Bruno.
Bruno's going to go, which is another midfielder.
Yeah.
I can also see why Ineos are doing what they did. We knew we couldn't fix everything this summer. What we lacked last year was goals. What we have given Amrim now, and I know it's only 3 games into the season, is a top strike force. And you can see that in the numbers. I honestly believe when these players start clicking, the ball's gonna start flying in. The numbers are showing, the shots on goals, the amount of time being in the box. It's higher than Arsenal's. It's higher than City's. I think only Liverpool are probably higher than what we are right now. And I know Liverpool have started good, and I think they're going to struggle at some point in this season because they just signed a player in Ekatike who scored in every game that he's played so far, but you've just gone and brought Isak. So now you can't play Ekatike because you're going to play Isak.
Or you're going to sit.
It's going to cause problems there.
Yeah.
It's going to cause problems. And I think over the edge of the season, Salah hasn't looked himself this season. And that back line is atrocious.
Yep.
I think Arsenal completely came out and played the wrong system against them. They went very defensive. They did attack that back line. They did. The Gahey collapsed. It ended up being a David De Gea. The fax machine broke or whatever it was because it failed in the last 2 hours. He was in Liverpool literally having a medical and the transfer failed. So for me, that front line is going to click at some point. I really, really do believe it's going to click. Yes, we don't have a good 6, but I think if that front line can click and get the goals, if we can go 2-0 up, if we can go 3-0 up, it's not going to matter too much in that midfield because we're taking control of the game. And I think that's where we're struggling right now, especially against Burnley, especially against Arsenal. We didn't score and put the game to bed.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Once we start putting the game to bed, I think that number 6 is going to become a lesser issue for Man United. It needs fixed. But I'm also on that thing where, yes, I wish we'd got someone in, but I'm also at that point where, hey, we're going to need 3 or 4 players next summer, and if we're going to drop 100 million on a 6, we're going to need the money. Where are we going to get that from next year if we want to spend 30 million? That's 30 million away from the kiddie next year. So for me, fixing the goalkeeper was a bigger priority. I know a lot of people are going to be disagree with that for me, but and this goes out to the people that disagree with me. How many games have we lost or drawn this season because of a goalkeeping error? Every single game? Every single game this season has been lost or drawn from a goalkeeping error. So if you put that goalkeeper in there, if we can shore that goalkeeper area up and we can start getting 2 or 3 goals, go ahead 2 or 3 goals, I don't think the 6 is going to be a bigger issue than everyone thinks it is. I just don't. But that's my opinion. I might be proven wrong. And I'm not on one of those trains where I'm happy to be proven wrong this time. But that's where I'm at. I think fixing the goalkeeper issue was a bigger priority than 6 for me. I'm not sure how you stand on that, but if you look back at the goals, no goalkeeping error versus Burnley for me. I don't think it was an error, but he could have done a lot better.
Well, the Arsenal game's a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, Arsenal game's a 0-0 draw.
We're at 5 points.
We don't lose to Grimsby. We lost to Grimsby because of 2 goalkeeping errors. The Burnley, not so much of an error, but could have done better.
Yeah.
Pre-season there was errors. So for me overall, I think a goalkeeper was a more priority than a 6. And I'm and like you said, I'm glad what Ineos are doing. I know a lot of people wanted him out, but I can also see now that a lot of people are turning. The 1878 were having a protest against Ineos, and everyone went so against the 1878 that they cancelled their protest against Arsenal because everyone was saying Ineos are doing a good job.
Yes, they are.
And I think they're doing a good job. You got the bomb squad out, and let's talk about that. bomb
Yeah.
squad.
Oh,
Now, let's talk about Rashford. He was the first one out the door. Been subbed off in the last 4 games.
yep.
It's not doing too well over there. So, but it is still early. Again, we talk about our players and they need time. He's in a new country himself. So, I wish him the best of luck over there. And more to do with the fact that if he doesn't do well, he's only going to come back at Man United.
Yeah, that, he took a wage reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Good on him. Did a bit of an interview, behind the scenes, tell all about Manchester United. That's okay. But my question is, did Barcelona really need him? I don't think they did. I think that they maybe tried to strike lightning in a bottle, as we say it, in fantasy leagues. Maybe he goes back. The excitement of being in a new team, a new country, beautiful city. Maybe it sparks that 30-goal scorer that Man United had so many years ago. I don't wish him any ill will.
No.
I lost a little bit of respect for him. The whole, partying in a nightclub, not going to soccer. Because for me, I'm big on players forgetting what a privilege it is for them to play football for a living. And that's the way you should treat it, from your very first minute on the pitch to your last minute on the pitch before your testimonial. It's a privilege, you guys. Respect it. Respect the fans who pay your wages, pay to come and see you, want their jersey signed by you. And that's where I fell off with Rashford. It just seems that he forgot, after he signed that big contract, what a privilege it is to play football for a living.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at with him. I wish him the best. It's not been a great start for him, being dragged off. I know I know it was preseason, but he missed the open goal in preseason. You're right, they didn't need him, and the only reason they got him is because Nico Williams didn't go. Nico Williams was supposed to go to Barcelona, he didn't, so they ended up picking up Rashford. So, Mikey said, "Is this the same Rashford that's better than Mbappe? Mbappe's not that good, man. He's not. I'm sorry. He's not. He's not even in. He's not even classed in the top 20 of all time for me, man. He's just not. But it is what it is. I get your joke, my man. I get it. I appreciate you stopping in. And one thing I'm going to say, I haven't been on for a while. I've been dealing with some personal issues. I went to England. I'm going to start giving Mikey some huge credit here, man. The shit that he is putting out for this show. Thanks, Mikey. We've seen that viewership go all the way up, and I'm going to give you a huge credit for that, my man. Appreciate everything you do. Who was next out the door?
Next out the door was, well, they kind of all went at the same time.
Yeah, Garnacho was next out the door.
Yeah, and it was like a day before the other two, Anthony and Sancho. Garnacho, see you later.
See you later. I hope you break your leg, my man. I can't stand you to sit there and say Chelsea are the best club in the world. I know you have to big up your new crowd, right? You have to big up your new team when you go. But to sit there and say Chelsea are the best team in the world just goes to show what mentality you've got, my man. I honestly see him being sold in the next 2 years. I do.
Yep, I agree with you.
I think he's going to do decently there. I think he's going to have an attitude. Like, you had a problem about not playing in the Europa League final. You're not starting every game for Chelsea. You're just not. And if you had a problem with that at Man United, then you clearly, and his brother's going to be an issue, because his brother's going to be on X and Twitter and whatever, putting his tweets out there. I honestly see him being sold in the next 2 years. Now, could I be wrong? Been wrong many a times before, but I just don't see. I hope it doesn't work out for him. I just hope it doesn't.
I'm with you on that one. And how many Chelsea players have you seen get on social media and express their disappointment?
It shut down.
None of it.
Yeah.
Right? Maresca, he doesn't play games. And they will get rid of you below your market value if they need to get rid of you. They've done wonders with their sales. I saw what they brought in, but they've also sold people for way under their market value.
Yeah.
They sold that kid from Denmark, Albert, whatever. His value is at 8-9 million. They sold him for 600K. Just go.
What really pisses me off that is Man United got 40 million for Garnacho, but got 70 million for Nico Jackson.
So yeah,
70 million for Nico Jackson, but we only got 40 for Garnacho.
Yeah.
I know we did it to ourselves. We did.
Yeah.
We put it out there. The Amarim said, "You better pray. You better find another club." I know Nico Jackson went for 70, but you also you have to look at the circumstances. Garnacho was a must sell. Chelsea knew that. They waited till the last minute. They ended up getting him for what they wanted. I think they wanted him for 35. They paid 40 plus a 10% sell-on clause.
Yeah.
I know it's circumstances, but I'm still pissed we only got 40 million for him.
Yeah, but I'm glad we got the 40. I would have sold him for 30. No sell. I am so glad we got the 40. And don't get me wrong.
No, I am too. I just think we could have got a little bit more, maybe 50, 55.
And we could have got more from some of the deals he turned down.
Yeah.
And this is what bugs me. And, we talked about it on another show. How do I believe in some player power. I don't believe that players, get to be jerked around by clubs because it is a harsh business. One day you're in, the next day, you know what? You're on the bench. You're with the bomb squad.
Rasmus Højlund, right?
Cold.
He wanted to stay. He got thrown out the door. So yeah. I do get it too. Players have to have a little bit of that power as well as.
But a club needs, you can, like we discussed on another show, you can turn down the first 2 or 3 deals, right? But the fourth one, you need to take it. If they're willing to match your salary, they're willing to match the price set by the selling club, right? Because then it's going to lend itself some more urgency to the first 1, 2, or 3 deals, right? Because if that fourth deal is coming from Bodo Glimt, I don't think you turn down Bayern Munich. I don't, you don't turn down Sevilla. You don't turn down. You're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go. And like him and then Anthony turning down Bayern Munich. But we're on Garnacho. I'm just glad to see him go. He's somebody else's headache now.
Yeah.
And we'll see how I say he's sold next summer. I really do.
Yeah.
I think they have way too much talent there. I don't see it working out for him. I really don't. Like you say, his brother's going to be involved. The petulant child act isn't going to work. It's not going to work.
The thing for me with Garnacho is I don't see any difference between Garnacho last year and Garnacho when he came in the team at 17. I don't see any progression in him. So I understand why we only got the 40, along with the attitude problem. There was no progression there. Now, was that down to Manchester United? Was that down to himself? He always prides himself on wanting to be the next Ronaldo. Well, Ronaldo got better because he stayed behind after practice. He was the first one in, first one out. He would spend an hour practicing free kicks. Do I know if Garnacho did that or not? No. But I don't see any progression between when he was 17 and last year. I just don't. It's just that's mind-boggling to me with a guy with such talent. And I heard this yesterday. If you take Jesse Lingard, right? Jesse Lingard is nowhere near talented as Sancho or Garnacho talent-wise.
Yeah.
But he did more. He did more than Sancho at Manchester United with less talent because he had good drive for Jesse Lingard. Now, he ended up having a problem too. He could have stayed at Forest. He turned that down and he ended up in South Korea. That's on him. But for me, at the end of the day, and I like what Mikey says, I would have took some sardines and ketchup for that guy. I'm glad he's out. Mikey saying he's going to have loads of space at Chelsea. If he gets there, he can shine. Yeah, but it's one of those games where Chelsea has a triple-decker bus. Chelsea just signed a player on loan from Brighton. And they have 10 players in that position. Why? No, he went to Forest too. Jesse Lingard went to Forest after West Ham. He could have stayed at Forest. He went to West Ham first, and then he went to Forest after West Ham. So he had You're right though. He could have stayed at West Ham, but he did have the opportunity to stay at Forest as well. I know he played a year at Forest on loan. I believe it was before he went off to enough grip. But it is what it is. I'm glad he's out. Now let's turn to Sancho. Well, no, Anthony. Anthony was next.
Yeah.
All I've got to say to Anthony is talent-wise, or what he did for Man United per se, wasn't the worst signing of all time. But when you factor in how much he costs, most likely the biggest waste of 80 million that I've ever seen in my life, along with Alexis Sanchez. But yes, I would go ahead and say probably the worst signing of all time for Man United, him and Onana.
The worst for me, Anthony, by far. He doesn't even pass the eye test.
Yeah.
How Ten Hag, I guess, who coached him in Holland, right? At
Ajax, yeah.
But when you're as a Man United scout, go and watch this kid play. Where did you see 92 million euros?
And I'm not putting that on Ten Hag, though, right? It's not on Ten Hag. Ten Hag wanted him. But it was the board that spent the 92 million on him. You know, Ten Hag wanted him at the beginning of the summer when he would have cost 40.
Yeah.
It was because of Man United's inability to do transfers that the fact that we had to pay 92 million for him at the end of the summer. And you can see the difference between the board then and the board now. There was none of that rushing around. You know, we got Lemens, however you pronounce his name, I'll get it right eventually. We got him on the last day because we were waiting for Sancho to go. We were waiting for, Garnacho to go. We were waiting for that little bit of money to be able to spend on him.
Yep.
We wanted him all summer. That's ended up what happened. It wasn't a rush buy in that sense that, we spent all summer trying to buy Frankie de Jong. We've got to go buy two players now, in Casemiro at 70 million.
Yeah.
So I like the difference there for that. But
I like the poker game they played, right?
Sorry?
I like the poker game they played because Antwerp was jacking the price a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, okay, fine, we're going to go work. And then they made it public with Emi Martinez.
Yeah.
And 20 million to a club like Royal Antwerp, that's big bucks for them.
Aston Villa actually offered more money. They offered more wages and they offered more money for him to Antwerp. He said, no, not Villa. Who was it?
The City.
No, someone else came in for him at the last minute. I think it was Villa actually. I think what he wanted. I think it was Villa. I'm pretty sure Villa offered him more money in wages, and they offered him more money because they were waiting for Emi Martinez to go to Man United. So they were like, okay, we need a goalkeeper real quick.
Yeah.
So I think they offered him Antwerp more money, but he had his heart set on Man United. It's the same with Sesko.
Mm-hmm.
We did the same thing with Sesko. Like we went to the player first. We did it with Baleba. We didn't waste our time all summer trying to sign a player that didn't want to come. We made sure the player wanted to come. Then we worked it out.
And I like that. I like how they're making this is what do you want this to be your destination?
Yeah.
Do you want to be a part of this club? Then we'll work at you bringing you here.
Yeah. I like it. Sesko came on. From what I'm hearing, I'm not sure how true it is. Someone will have to let me know. From what I was hearing, they were offering him about 50 grand a week more than what Man United were offering him, Sesko, to go to Newcastle.
Yeah, they offered more money.
Yeah.
More money and a higher transfer fee, which the player gets, I believe, 15% of.
Yeah. Which is crazy that the fact that, and I like that they're figuring out, do you want to play for Man United? Because there's been players in the past that just didn't want to play for Man United. They came for the wages.
Yeah.
Sesko's he's not on 200 grand a week. I believe it's 170.
Yep.
And Bumo is not on 250 grand a week, like all these people were saying. He's not. I think he's on 170.
170
I think 200.
And bonuses. And I believe that's how a player should negotiate contracts.
Yeah.
Bonus laden incentive contracts. Bet on yourself. Right? At the end of the day, you're making a good wage at 150, 170,000 British pounds a week.
Yeah.
So if you can chunk that up at the end with some goal bonuses, some assist bonuses, getting into the Champions League bonuses, you're going to do just as well.
Yeah. You're going to get over that 200. with the bonuses. I think it's great. I think it's been great business from Ineos this summer. I'm seeing reports today on Ineos that they are looking to save about 90 million a year to start putting it towards the debt that Man United are having.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Putting 90 million a year. It doesn't sound like a lot in the business aspect of what Man United is worth, but when you're in 100 million worth of debt at 90 million, a billion's worth of debt, and you're putting 90 towards it, we all have credit cards. We all know the more you put down, the less interest you're paying. So I like what they're doing. I do. The only concern for me was that they've took 300 million more in credit to pay to back Amarim, and especially if it doesn't work, and you just put 300 million credit more onto Man United. But from what I'm seeing so far from the front three, it looks like it's going to work for me. Anthony, though, go crying in river, buddy. Did you see this shit? Did you see his interview?
No, from who?
He cried and said, "Oh
yeah,
the things that happened at Manchester United, that I had to stay in a hotel. Like, there's people living on the street, my man, and you're in a what, $30,000 a night hotel, and you're crying about it.
How can you cry about that stuff?
Oh, like, what happened to you, Man United? It's not Man United's fault. Now, I know it's not his fault because he was never ended up charged with it, but it's not Man United or the Man United fans' fault that you put yourself in a situation where you got accused twice of rape.
Yeah.
Now, I know I don't know whether he did it, whether he didn't, but at the end of the day, that affected him. You also put yourself in that position to get accused.
Yeah.
You're the one that came back with your hand wrapped up after she said that you threw a broken glass at her. So, I'm not saying he did it. I'm not saying he didn't, because it's not my place to say that. He was never charged, but you put yourself in a situation, in that situation.
Why wasn't he charged? Didn't they get back together?
No, I think one of the women's dropped the charge, and then the other one just didn't go anywhere. But anyways, like, you put yourself in that situation after you started pretty well at Manchester United, and then after that, you were never the same. You're coming on doing this, like, you're coming on as a substitute, looking like you're about to, like Superman, about to shoot lasers at your eyes. You scored, I think, in total of 7 goals in his entire career at Manchester United.
Yeah.
You were horrendous. You were more well known for doing fidget spinners than you and holding up Sonic the Hedgehog than you were for scoring for Manchester United. By far, for me, the worst signing of Manchester United, and that goes along with Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah.
At least Alexis Sanchez, when he came, put some effort in, scored some. I know
tackled hard.
Yeah.
Showed some spirit.
Yeah, so it showed some support of spirits. It didn't work out, but at least he did that. He's a worse sign than the Fellaini.
Yeah, you know what, Fellaini, that was a desperation signing for me. I never liked him as a player.
But so was Anthony. Anthony was a desperation signing at last minute.
Yeah, but I can say Fellaini, he wore his heart on his sleeve.
He did.
And he battled for Manchester United.
Yeah.
He battled, and I can give him credit for that. Did I like the signing? No, I didn't. But can I honestly, that kid went out there and gave 110, 120% and battled, got bloodied, battered, bruised. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So he showed up. He showed up to the dance, and he fought. These other guys, prima donnas. Anthony, that ballerina spin that he did, fidget spin.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to United, the fans, the game.
Going along with worse signings, I honestly, can you name more than 2 players in the Man United team right now? Right now, I'm not on about injured players, but 2 players that started this weekend that were Ten Hag signings. Whoever played against, but whoever the starting 11 at Burnley. Well, no, the squad at Burnley. Name me 2 players that were signed by Ten Hag.
Mount.
Lenny Euro.
Matthias
De Ligt.
But Can you really count those as Ten Hag?
I think Anana was on the bench.
Onana was on the bench.
He's gone though. He was on the bench, but he's gone. So if you Martinez, he's injured.
Yeah.
And Lenny Euro wasn't even to me wasn't even a signing. I think he was an Ineos signing.
I think that's what I was going to say. I don't think he was a Ten Hag signing. I think he was an Ineos signing.
Brian Deer, Mazraoui, but Mazraoui he was on the bench. So Brian Deer. How many now? Tell me how many of those are good signings.
I can't.
I would say De Ligt has been probably the best signing for me. I think he's been absolutely solid this year. I know last year he was solid up until he got injured. We massively missed a fit De Ligt in the final. He wasn't fit.
Mazraoui's been decent. But a lot of people, he cost Man United the FA Cup last year. That goal that Massey from Fulham scored, that came from him not checking his right shoulder even once.
Yeah.
To know that there.
Yeah.
So youngster mistakes, but De Ligt by far, because he's a stalwart, right? But he was a signing that you could not go wrong with.
Yeah. Other than injuries, yeah. Other than injuries, you can't go wrong, yeah.
That was a no-brainer, right? Yeah. Strong, rugged, fast, good tackling, center back. You can't go wrong with that one. Euro was a little troublesome because of the injury scare. He came here, had that medical issue, but man, he sure has flourished.
Oh my God, yeah. I Lenny Euro for me, just the projection he's on now, in 2 years, 3 years time, he's going to be one of the top 5 defender in the world.
Yeah.
We're gonna when it comes around time to re-signing him, we're gonna struggle to re-sign him. But that's okay. If he leaves, he's going for what, 70, 80 million?
If he leaves in 3-4 years' time, we're probably up in the, what did Liverpool pay for Van Dijk?
About 80 million.
About 80 million. So I'm going to say upwards between 90 and 100.
Yeah. Unless Real Madrid do what they usually do and they force the player to see out his contract. But I just don't see Lenny Euro doing that.
And they didn't do it with Houston this year either. They actually paid 62 million pounds for him.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, Anthony, bye. Go cry a river over in Spain. I am glad that you are gone. That brings us on to the next one, who also has a claim to be the worst signing in Manchester United history because he cost about the same.
Yeah. At
least with Anthony, he did show heart in a lot of games. This kid, for me, is the epitome of what not to do as a professional footballer. Jadon Sancho. I don't even know where to start with Jadon Sancho. Has he been hit in the head too many times with a ball? I just don't know. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from another Manchester United. I heard it today. Another Manchester United outlet out there that even his own camp wasn't happy with him. Even his own camp was like scratching their head, like, what are you doing? You had the chance to go to Juve. You've had the chance to go at Roma and restart your career over in Roma. You're 25, spent 2 years in Roma.
The very first deal he was offered, Chelsea.
Yep, he didn't
for
want
180,000 pounds a week, right? So now you factor in that he lost 33% of his wage because United isn't in the Champions League, so they get that 33 to 35% wage reduction.
Yeah.
So he was there anyway, plus or minus a few £1,000, which is good money to you and I. But to a footballer making 250, 260 a week, that's not much, right?
Yeah.
So he was already, and he turned that down. And it cost him 20 million pounds. And it cost him Champions League.
Up until the last second of the transfer window, he continued to screw Manchester United. We talked about this earlier. There was talks out there that there was going to be a swap with Emi Martinez and Jadon Sancho, and he said, nope. The good news is they are covering 80% of his wages. with the fee that we got for him and bonuses that are easily attainable, it looks like Villa are going to cover his entire wages. I am so glad that this is the last time we ever have to speak about Jadon Sancho and Manchester United, because as of July next year, you are no longer a Man United player. Whether you stay at Villa or not, you are no longer a Man United player. Your contract is up. You are done.
That might not be it, though, Sean, because they're talking about extending his contract for a year so that they can make some money off him from Aston Villa if he does well. To me, that don't.
No, just let him go. Sometimes it's just good to bite the bullet and just say bye. You just don't.
Yeah.
If they do that, I'm going to be pissed at Ineos, because this is going to be another saga next year. He's going to continue to screw Man United because he'll continue to get the same wages.
Yeah.
Right now, we just got another 260,000 a week. I'm not sure what the math on that is a year in wages. We just got him off the books. Casemiro's about to go next year on 300,000 a week.
Yeah.
Which is a huge, huge deal for Manchester United to have these players finally gone. I don't know.
23, 24 million wages, pounds between the two of them.
Yeah. So, that's a signing. That's an up and coming defender, Lenny Euro style up and coming defender, up and coming midfielder, whatever you want to put him on. It is what it is. The bomb squad is gone. I don't class Malacia as being in the bomb squad. I don't. I know a lot of people do. I don't. He had a serious injury.
Yeah.
So
he's never been a problem.
No, he's never been a problem. He's had a serious injury at Man United. It didn't work out. I'm not going to put him in the bomb squad. I would be more than happy to put Rasmus Højlund in the bomb squad compared to Malacia, because Malacia had the injuries. Rasmus Højlund, barring the service into the box, is quite possibly the worst signing striker Man United have ever had.
He's up there with Anthony and Alexis Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But that was old Man United board lazy recruiting. That was, this kid scored 17 goals for Atalanta. Let's go get him.
Yeah.
That was TikTok recruiting or Instagram recruiting.
Yeah.
I think Ineos and Amorim are doing a lot better job now of recruiting, finding out more about the person.
Yeah.
And maybe they did that because Rasmus Højlund, out of all of them, has been the best person.
Yeah, he didn't want to leave. It took him to the last minute of the transfer window to finally get it through, because he didn't want to leave it. He grew up a Man United fan. He wanted to stay and fight, and I give him a lot of credit for that. And so for that reason, I won't put him in the bomb squad, and I'm not going to put Malacia in there.
No,
there's still time for Malacia to leave. I know the window's shut in England, but some of the other countries' windows are not shut, especially for loan deals. So there is time for him.
I hope he does.
America,
Yeah.
Wherever he wants to go. But I wish him the best of luck too. It looks like he's going to stay at Man United for this, until at least January, or maybe go out on loan somewhere. But that's it regarding the transfer windows. I'm not too mad about not getting a 6. I'm more than happy to wait till next year to get an Adam Wharton, maybe a Belieber. Let's see how he plays, right? Let's see how Belieber plays this year. And to be honest, though, I'm glad we didn't drop 100 million on Belieber, because if we dropped 100 million on him and it didn't work, because he only had that one season at Brighton, I'm very guilty of going, I want Belieber. But the more I looked at it, the more I'm like, I'm glad we didn't drop 100 million on him.
Yeah, he might be a 60 million player after this year.
Yeah, if he has a half decent year and he doesn't play as well as he did last year, again, he got hooked at City the other day, and against City, and Brighton were a lot better without him in the team. And so for me, I'm glad that we didn't drop 100 million on him. I'm glad we went and got a younger goalkeeper. I just wish we'd got we had the funds. I just wish we'd gone and got an Emi Martinez as well. Maybe push out on loan, and then because Onana's gone for a month and a half, depending on how Cameroon do in the African Cup. So depending on it, he's gone for so.
Just that, he's not right in the head to come in and ask for a 25% wage increase after your performance last year, let alone coming in fat.
Yeah, and then you go and show that by giving up 2 goals against Grimsby.
2 horrible goals where people are actually accusing you of match fixing. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, he had his eyes. That and the penalty saves is the thing that the cross where he missed it. I understand that because he's done it before. He did it again. I was at the Wolves game, his first ever game at Wolves, where he should have been sent off for punching a guy in the head.
Yeah,
I was at that game, so that's one of those things where I'm like, okay, you're used to doing this. The first goal was more of match fixing for me because I don't understand how you don't get down to your right side. It went in right next to his leg.
Yeah.
Put your leg out and you save that. That's more of a match fixing goal for me.
Yeah.
But the penalties, even the one he saved, he only saved it because it hit the crossbar.
Yeah.
Like your hands were so weak. I've never. What shocked me about that game is why we didn't put Bindier in for the penalties. Because we know Binder is good at penalties.
Yeah, much better than Onana, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Worlds above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just in hindsight, and I know Mikey's with me on this one. I wish we hadn't got rid of David De Gea. I really wish we hadn't. Oh my God, it's for me, I always call Peter Schmeichel Judas because he went and played for City. He's a great goalkeeper, but what David De Gea did for Manchester United, it really puts in perspective like how good he was.
Yeah.
And why the fact that we let him walk for free is just mind-boggling to me.
For free because of this modern game mindset that we have that a goalie needs to be able to, absolutely play with his feet. Get a goalie that stops shots because these guys have been around football their entire lives.
But if you notice, City just got 2 goalkeepers that can't play with their feet. Donnarumma can't play with his feet. Trafford can't play with his feet.
Nope.
And it looks like people are moving more a little bit towards corners and long throw-ins rather than ball-playing goalkeepers.
Your traditional goalkeeper who's there to stop the ball.
Yeah.
That's it. You didn't want your goalkeeper playing with the ball.
No.
And
that's the one thing I will give Bindier credit for. With his mistakes, I wish he could stop those because his ball playing is much better than Onana's. He moves the ball quicker. Have you seen it? He doesn't hold on to the ball. He gets it out fast. He pings it down long to Mbeumo and Cunha really well. Yeah, I just wish he could stop. And that's why I'm more than willing to give him more game time than Onana, because Onana's just shit overall.
Oh.
Whereas Bindier, I think, because we talk about Le Mans, right? He's 22. How old's Bindier?
26, 27.
Is he? Let me have a quick look, real quick. Bindier. Hold on, Bindier. He's 27, which is a problem. You should be able to come out and collect the ball at 27 as a goalkeeper. But again, in goalkeeper, that's still young.
It's very young, and he needs confidence, right? He needs Ruben Amorim to sit him down and say, Bindier, you're our number 1.
Stay an hour after football, after the practice, and just have a coach ping balls to you.
Yeah.
Ask some of your teammates, do you your defenders? Because how are you going to gain confidence in your defense, right? The problem with Man United, I feel, is they're so disillusioned with Onana being in goal that it causes more problems. But if you sit there and you say to your defense, hey, can you stay an hour with me? I'm going to have crosses put in. Go physical on me. I want to get more comfortable with this. You're going to get a sense of teamness. So you're going to get, your team's going to say, hey, man, he really wants to be in goal. We're picking up on this. He's learning from his mistakes. It's going to create more, cohesiveness in that back line. I really think, because I don't see Sene coming in being the number 1. I just don't. And he shouldn't be.
He shouldn't, unless Bindier shits the bed.
Yeah.
I do want to see him brought along. I think just, the team needs to sit down Bindier and say, you're our number 1.
Yeah.
Don't worry about Onana. he's gone.
Yeah.
We're bringing in this kid to back you up. We need you to show him the way.
Yeah.
He's already, like you say, he's a much better goalie than Onana. He doesn't put his defenders in bad position.
Mm-hmm.
You remember how Onana used to hold on to the ball?
Yeah.
And wait for the high press from the other team
Mm-hmm.
to get on his backs before he passed them the ball? They're already in a bad position now because you waited 4 or 5 seconds to pass them the ball.
Yeah.
Bayern doesn't do that. It's rapid, bang, 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 bang. Those passes are moving. And if he doesn't have an outlet close to build up from the back, like you said, and Mbumo and Cunha, who had acres of space to receive those balls.
Yeah, and Sesko's great at holding the ball up too. He did really well at Leipzig last year of collecting that ball from the goalkeeper, holding it up, which I think really was the tipping point for Rasmus Højlund, was that ability to just fall on his ass rather than holding it up.
Yeah.
But as Mikey said, you're right. Go to him, say, you're our number one. It's sink or swim time. You've got to collect this. We got this new goalkeeper. He's gonna fight you for the number one, but you're on number one right now. It's sink or swim time. You've got to work on those crosses. It is number one. You work on those crosses right now because that's his weak point. It's the crosses. He's good at moving the ball around. He's good at distribution. He's good at penalty saves. He's half decent at shots, which is okay. He doesn't parry the ball into the center of the box, kind of like what Onana does. And he's just bad at crosses. So practice the crosses. You've got, Matthias de Ligt, who's a big, tall central defender. Have him just stand on you and barge you during practice. Get comfortable with that. Get comfortable with your defense, because I think that's also the thing, right? He's not comfortable yelling at his defense and saying, hey, I'm coming for the ball. Or, hey, move this player. Like, if someone's barging into you, get the lit to say move him. Get the person that's in front of you, move him. Yeah. That's what pissed me off about the Arsenal goal, because one, they held Bayern's hand. You could clearly see him holding his arm up. But two, Mason Mount was clearly being fouled in the build-up to that goal also. Yeah. That's what pissed me off about that goal. Horrible goalkeeper from him. You've got to learn when to come out and punch the ball. You've got to learn when to stay there, because if he just stays in goal and just comes out, it's not a goal. It's That's because he mispunched it pretty much into his own net.
Yeah, it was weak.
So for me, I'm going to back him for a little while, until the same as Amram, right? We're going to back him until we just can't anymore, or until he just changes this team. But I'm not on the Amram out. I really do see Amram turning this team around. Anyone that sits there and says Amram's system doesn't work, why are our stats so good then? Why are our stats inside the box so good?
Why did it work against Arsenal?
Yeah.
We just didn't put the ball in the net.
Why did it work against Burnley? It worked against Burnley. It just didn't put the ball in the back of the net. He has howlers in him too. Who are you referring to, Mikey? You on about Sané, or are you referring to Bayern? Because I both have got howlers in them too. We were talking about that earlier.
And we didn't say he was average. We were saying the guy who was paid to watch Lumen's last 25 games said he was average.
But then you got what's his name? He wants his wages. Who are we referring to? I don't know who you're referring to. Oh, Jemba. Oh. Okay, but yeah, we've got a back binder here. We can't put Sané in right away. He needs time to develop. Binder. We also have to remember injury prone. Binder spent a lot of time on the injury bench. Le Mans looks like a scientist. He does look like a scientist. He looks like he has a PhD.
Yeah, which isn't bad. Physics, right? Trajectories. I just think as a fan base and all the pundits, that make their living off toxicity, I think everybody we need to have realistic expectations of this squad.
Yeah.
Last year's team was terrible. terrible. And we've signed some really good players. We've signed some really good players for the future. And I'm not hammering him out, but he, like Mikey says, he's not beyond reproach. Some of those things can be and have to be questioned. I question the whole Sesko thing. I really do. I question the emotional outbursts, especially after the Grimsby game.
Yeah. The question sitting on the bench hiding.
Yeah.
Like, you if you want to show your team, that was my thing, right? You came out after the game and says, "Oh, my players showed me how they feel." So did you. So did you, Ruben. You hid on the bench instead of standing on the sideline cheering your players on. So don't quite. At the end of the day, if you're going to question the players, they saw that too, and the whole world saw you sitting on that bench. And you did it against Burnley too. You sat on the bench and you looked the other way. Now I know his job was on the line there. I think if Bruno misses that penalty, I think we're having a different conversation right now. I think he walks. But at the end of the day, as bad as Man City is still sitting below us. We're only 2 points off Arsenal.
It's the Man United overreaction by everybody. And but I'm going to say Amorim deserves a little bit of the stick, like you say. Valid point. You hid on the bench when your players needed you the most.
Yeah,
that's when you needed to show them. Yeah, you guys spoke loud, but I'm going to speak even louder.
Yeah.
Even though I think you guys let me down, I'm going to show you that I'm not here to let you guys down.
Yeah,
saying you're a man of principles, you're not going to change your system because that's who you are. Then don't cry after the game and say you're going to quit.
Yeah.
You say, I'm going to die on this sword. I'm going to die on the 3-4-3.
No, there was part of me that liked his emotion though. I did like the fact that he was like, okay, because there's been too many times where Man United managers just don't show emotion, right?
Yeah.
I do like the sense of that because it shows that he's a real person, but you can't sit there and question those players when you hit on the bench.
Yep.
You have to be the example. You're the manager. As much as I hate Mikel Arteta, that guy does not leave the sideline. He shows his players. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen it. They had that documentary where they followed Arsenal for a year. Have you seen the dressing room? Like,
yeah.
Passion that he was showing his players. Now he finished eighth. He finished fifth.
Yeah.
You could see that he's doing that. He did the same thing as Ruben is doing. You get the players out that you don't want. You bring your own players to fit your style of play. But he showed passion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see Amorim talk to himself? Yeah, that's what we're trying to say. Like,
yeah,
he's talking to himself instead of being on the sideline showing his team, like, hey. And you could see it in Sesko, right? Why was our $80 million striker the last outfield player to take a penalty? Why? Yeah. He should have, like, 80 million. He should have been, if not one of the first five, then the next person up.
You should have been one of your first five.
Yeah.
That's your goal scorer.
Confidence. And if he misses, he misses. Cunha missed. And Bumo missed. If he misses, he misses. And it is what it is. But that, you build on your mistakes. And I hope Ruben builds on those mistakes of not hiding anymore. Because, like I said, as much as I hate Arteta, the guy shows passion on the sideline and he shows his team, hey, if I'm going to die on the sword, I want you to, and it's the same as the principle of a king, right? If the king dies on a sword, his followers will follow him, and it's the same principle. He needs to die on that sword.
Yeah.
And the team
I love passion. I love emotion. I do. But, don't, because he said it a couple of times and, Mikey brought it up in the last, I'm going to pick up my ball and I'll just go home. I don't care if I get compensated or not. That's not what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Right? Call players out for poor performance. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But be a man manager. And I've seen it from him because I watched the team talk he did in the sporting dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They were one game away from winning the league, and his passion, and telling his players, I need you to focus for 4 days.
Okay, forget about your girlfriends, forget about your vacations, forget 4 days. The club is what you need to think about. 4 days.
But that's the thing, right? If you say it and you believe it, then you've got to do it yourself.
Yep.
That's the problem. He's not doing it himself, and that's my only criticism of Ruben Amorim, because I don't know anyone that sits there and says this system isn't working. It's wrong. Yeah, it didn't work against Grimsby, but again, how many times have you and me seen, and everyone else in this chat, seen Man United go lose to Preston, Man United go lose to Sheffield Wednesday in an FA Cup tie? I've
Leighton
seen.
Orient.
Yeah.
You've played yourself. I've played.
We lost to MK Dons 4-0.
Yeah.
And MK Dons were in the third division or fourth division at the time. They used to be Wimbledon. They ended up we lost 4-0 with David De Gea in goal.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
I'm not too mad about it. I was mad. Trust me, I was mad at the time. I didn't even speak to my wife after the game. She knew I was mad. But I was in England watching it. My mum was like, calm down, because the neighbor upstairs could hear. Mad at the time, but then when I went away and I realized how many times Man United have lost games like that, Leeds have lost games like Grimsby, Liverpool have lost games, Arsenal,
Chelsea have lost games.
Yeah, every big team has lost in the early stages of the cup. It happens. I was mad until I saw Saeed live reaction. Yeah, everyone saw that live reaction. It was great. But yeah, that's it. We're at 9:33 now. We've been on for an hour and a half. Thanks for jumping on with me, Mr. Green. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed the show. I think that me and Ronaldo may be back on tomorrow. Mikey's taking a well-deserved break this week, so we're going to pick up the slack for him. Maybe we can have you jump on as well tomorrow, Mr. Green. But absolutely. Everybody else, thanks for jumping on. I hope you liked the show today, and we will see you this week. Peace out, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.